You may be seated. We're going to do the presentation now, and I just thought that I would say a few words, first of all, about how we got to this point, and especially for some of our new members, just a little bit of the history of the background of where we are. If you guys can remember back before COVID, we've been having a lot of deaths and turnover in the congregation, and we realized that we weren't able to financially support the way that we were just on what was being pledged. And so we decided, or the council, vestry decided at that time, that let's look into using our space. And so we started looking for a daycare that could come and be here. And that, it seemed to go on and on and on. We kept looking for that. And then the daycare came and COVID hit. So they came in the building and we left the building. Really, it was like that. And so in that process, we kind of learned some things. One is that the daycare learned that they needed more space than they had anticipated, and so we renegotiated it for more money. And so that happened, and we thought at that time, right after COVID, because we had such poor attendance during those days, that we could just do our coffee hour and other meetings out in the narthex, and that would be sufficient. Well, time has come now where we're just crammed in like sardines when we have coffee hour or any other kind of gathering together, or we have trouble with places for groups to meet. And so we've been hearing it. People have been saying, this is ridiculous. We don't have enough space. We've lost all our space. And we tried to use the fellowship hall, but it required that we would have to go in and move the furniture, which was a lot of work. How many of you did that? It's a lot of work. And people said, we can't keep this up. So the council threw around some ideas, and this is where we are today, is just putting out there for your discernment the idea that God might be calling us to expand some space so that it meets our needs as well as the daycare needs, because we need them and they need us. And so that's pretty much it. I do want to say that when you hear this, you're going to think, oh my God, there's no way we can do this. No way. But I just want to put out there what Mary said to the angel, or what the angel said to Mary. I'm sorry. With God, all things are possible. And that's what we're discerning. What is God showing us? Is this possible, or is God saying, not now? So I'll turn it over to Bruce.
Hi. For the benefit of anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Bruce Manthe, and I'm the treasurer here and have been in the finance area of the church for a long time. So Lisa kind of went over what the asks have been. More meeting space, larger coffee hour. We've also heard that it would be very nice if we could get another bathroom closer to the sanctuary than down the hall and around the corner. Also, the roof replacement I want to talk about just briefly, because it will come in on all of these. We had some storm damage a while back, and that has eventually eroded or degraded into a couple of leaks in the roof. So we filed insurance claim. They came, did their insurance investigation and agreed we need to replace the shingled roof, which is right above us here, as well as the flat roof, which is the rest of the roof area. And that claim, or the estimate for that was $165,000. The insurance company has already paid us that $165,000. We have that in the bank, so the roof will be replaced. What we have done up to now is repaired the roof so it will no longer leak over the winter. But we're holding off on the replacement until we know whether we are going to do an expansion or not. So that's where the roof story is. Yeah, could you click it? We have met, and when I say we, it's a subset of the council. We've met with an architectural firm called Firm Ground, who does a great deal of church remodels and church buildings, and is very familiar with the church environment around construction. And with Langer Construction, who does a lot of work with Firm Ground as well as others doing primarily churches. So to discuss options and then getting associated costs with those options. Just as a side note, I have heard all things can be done with God about 400 times from Lisa. I have talked with a few professional fundraising companies, to just get a feel for what their feelings are about a congregation of our size looking for this much money. And they have told me, multiple of them have told me, as a rule of thumb, a capital budget, a realistic capital budget, capital campaign, is 2.5 to 3 times the annual giving of the parish. Remember that number, I'll bring it up later. So we have looked at probably 15 different options of, well, if we do this, or if we do that, or if we do something else. We've kind of narrowed it down to 2, which I will go over. And before I do that, I should have said this at the beginning, but I just remembered. You'll notice you've not gotten any handouts. That was on purpose, because now you have to pay attention to me. However, this is all on YouTube, so you can go home this afternoon and listen to it again on YouTube if you would like. It will be posted on the private page of the Epiphany Facebook page, and we will send it out through the Constant Contact and email it to everybody. So you will get this again to look at as you consider what your thoughts are. So yeah, we've narrowed it down to 2 options. And at this point, I'm not going to take any questions, just in the interest of time. But I will always, I will always be available in the narthex right after this if you want a burning question, or either through email or my phone number. And I know my email is in the announcements and will be again and again, and we're going to get the phone number in there too. So, this is option 1, and they're numbered 1 and 2 for simplicity's sake, not because it actually means anything. And it is taking the fireside room and expanding it out towards the driveway. So, can you guys see that little red dot? Yep. Okay. Right now the fireside room is about this big, right there. And so we would be taking out both the wall in front of the fireside room and behind it, extending the back all the way to where the fellowship hall wall is, and then bringing it forward so that the driveway is right there. That gives us 770 square feet of additional space. This picture over here is a rendition of what it could possibly look like. So that area is the fellowship hall. This would be wide open, and this is kind of the current narthex with the hall down to the bathrooms. So that would be adding that much space for basically narthex. So, on the bright side, option one has a cost, estimated cost of about $675,000. Of that, included in that number, is the $165,000 for the roof replacement, which we already have cash in hand. So we would have a need of funding about $500,000, and we would have a 3-year fundraising drive to do that. So that's the order of magnitude of option number one. That gets us, the additional kind of meeting space for coffee hours and funerals and weddings and that kind of stuff does not bring the bathroom forward. Does get the roof replaced. Option two is somewhat different because here, this is the fireside room right there. We would take these walls down and expand the building out to where the sidewalk is on that side. So the parking lot driveway is right here. And so we would be adding this space and taking out, we're not adding this whole space because this is, from that black wall down here is the front office and then Lisa's office. We would take those walls down and expand out that much, which is about 1,000 square feet of additional space. And these windows here would be that wall right there. And then this is this area right there leading back to the narthex. And there's open question, will this be a sliding door? Will this be windows? That's all detail stuff that things have been brought up, but nothing has been decided. And you will notice this is a very high ceiling, which will bring in a lot of extra light. We have the option of making it a single level, which would save us about $80,000, but again, we'll worry about that somewhere down the road. So that's just kind of a rendering of what it could possibly look like. That is, can we go back, Ellen? Sorry. Now, then the fellowship hall, or the fireside room, does not get expanded with this, but would be repurposed. And we would have a unisex bathroom right there, and then the rest would be the current office area because it's no longer over here. So that would get us, so this option gets us an additional bathroom, just across the hall from the sanctuary. The additional space, about half again as much additional space as the first option. This one, however, has an estimated cost of just a shade over $1 million. Again, that includes the roof. So the roof is $165,000 of that, needing funding of about $900,000, again, over a 3-year plan. Now, going back to my earlier comment from the professional fundraisers who said, rule of thumb is 2.5 to 3 times what the annual giving of the church is for a realistic capital drive. Oddly enough, 3 times what the annual giving from the parish is $900,000. So according to the professional fundraisers, it's a realistic amount for a capital funds drive. I'm not so confident of that, which is when Lisa will always say, anything's possible with God, and I'll say, yes, yes, yes. I won't tell you the name she's called me because it embarrasses her. But the first 2 words were, get behind me. So, and our current financial budget is $400,000, of which $100,000 comes from the daycare, and so would not be a significant part of the capital campaign, although we will certainly be down seeing what, if they would like to contribute along the way. But that's not part of our 2.5 to 3 times. The other $300,000 is congregational funding, and that's pledges, non-pledged giving, plate income, special gifts, operating gifts. So this still does not include monies that people have donated to NEAR, for example, or for ERD for the wide variety of disasters that they've been, helping support this year. That's in addition to all of this. This is strictly the operating budget giving from all of you, which is really, really greatly appreciated. So that's where we are. What I need from you now is for you to prayerfully consider all of this. Look at what you'll get in the mail, and if you need refreshers and all of that. And you guys need to decide, A, this is a tremendous amount of money. B, it's an awful lot of effort to make it happen. And we have, 100 different ways that we can spend money, all of which are good. So I need you to decide in your own minds, is this where we should be investing an awful lot of money? Can you support this through volunteer time in a wide variety of tasks that we will need to get in front of? And can you contribute to a 3-year capital plan and make a capital plan pledge? And this is where I will quickly take one step to the right and say, by the way, I'm going to be talking again in about 2 weeks, talking about the annual budget and your regular annual pledge. So don't forget that. So, and then prayerfully consider all of that, and what I would like you to do is then come back and let me know what your thoughts are, either through in person, or email or over the phone, however it works for you, and say, yeah, we think this is the best idea since sliced bread, let's go, or, geez, I just don't know. And as I get that kind of feedback, what I am thinking is our path forward will then become clear, whether we go whole hog on this, whether we do the smaller half because, it's not quite as there, or whether we just say, hey, this isn't the right time to make this kind of a move. And my last comment, just so that you understand our environment, bearing in mind Lisa's comment in the sermon on who owns the building, God does. From a legal standpoint, the Episcopal Diocese of Minnesota does. We do not. And so what would typically happen on a capital campaign is we would get commitments for 3 years, raising, $900,000, say. We would then take that to the diocese, and there's a committee within the diocese that trustees that would actually have to give us permission to go ahead. I don't think that would be a problem if we have the commitments in hand, but we have to go through that step. Then we would go talk to a bank because the spending comes before the receipt does. And so we would get what is known as a bridge loan for over that 3-year period, paying it off roughly a third each year as the commitments then come into cash. So that's just kind of the process of how it has to work. But what I really, really need is for you guys to prayerfully consider and then let me know, really enthused, yeah, kind of so-so, or hey man, I think you're barking up the wrong tree, we need to do something totally different. All of those are good answers. I just need to know which one it is. Thank you very much for your time.